cousins that are also a little bit older than I am that I relied on quite, frequently. My aunts also lived very close to us. We all lived very close. In the Hispanic community, we tend to live pretty close to one another. I don't know if Jose's familiar with that or not, but we really do. And so I had aunts that lived, 2 blocks away. I had another couple of aunts that lived, on the next block. So we all lived very close together. So I would say that my aunts and uncles played a large part of my life. And I saw that one of my aunts was my dad's sister, as a matter of fact. She attended TCU even after she had her family. She was a mother. She already had her career. She was working in the schools, and she decided to come back to school. And I always admired her for that because she didn't have, she had a large family. She had 6 children, and her husband stood by her and helped her. And she came back to school and got her degree, and she's now a retired teacher. So that meant a lot to me to see her do that. My mother did not go to college, but my mother had very, very strong interpersonal skills. She could reach out and connect with anybody. And I liked that. And those types of role models really help you. They help you to just give you some sort of hope. And so coincidence, my mother's name is Hope, which is Esperanza in Spanish, but her name is Esperanza. And those things are, when you see people succeeding, where people as yourself that have, you have similar roots, you have similar values, you share the same culture, it just gives you hope that you're going to be able to make it outside of your community and in life. So I had a lot of good role models. I was very, very fortunate.
Would you say as a child, what did you learn about how women were to be related to men and also how they were to be treated?
Well, with respect. I think that, my mother always said, you respect yourself and other people respect you. The thing that we also learned was, it's a very typical, you learn here this in religion as well. You treat others the way you want to be treated. So those were things that they taught us a lot, is that we had to, respect ourselves and respect other people and value people's opinions. You don't always have to agree with them, but just be open to other people's opinions. And I think it makes you that much more well-rounded, too, when you hear other people's opinions about things. It doesn't necessarily always influence yours, but I think it just gives you some other perspective, and I think that's a good thing. As far as how I was taught to relate to people, I would say, again, with respect, the role of the woman in the household. My mother and dad always had an equal partnership, and I have that in I share that sort of relationship with my husband, that we're both equal. That I don't think we have any expectations that this is you have to take care of all this or vice versa. I think we have to have a balance in our life, and I see that if you maintain that balance and you maintain that relationship where you both have responsibilities, I think it just makes you that much stronger as a couple, and it makes you that much stronger as a family. And I think you also teach your children to be that way, and I think it just makes you that much more well-adjusted and well-rounded, because you realize that people are different and you accept those differences, and you kind of just say, you know what, you're different, I'm different, and that's okay. And we have a lot of similarities. Let's kind of figure out what those are and build on that. And then all of a sudden those other things it seems to make those differences, it brings them closer, I think. Did I answer your question?
Yes,
absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So with that, do you feel that, what are maybe some of the obstacles you've encountered as a woman, and maybe how the role of religion has helped you overcome those obstacles?
Obstacles that I've encountered as a woman and how religion has helped me to overcome those. Obstacles I'll give you a prime example, my personal life. Okay. My husband and I have been married almost 18 years in December, and we have a 9-year-old son. So if you calculate, we have, we're 9, almost 10 years before actually 9 years before we had our son. And one of the things was, I wanted to have a family, and that wasn't something that we could have. And, I prayed and prayed and prayed, and we both did, and several people prayed. And years after we had been married, the doctor said we couldn't have children. we kind of accepted that. We looked into adopting a child in October of 2005 and in December again. And in January of 2006, I found out that I was expecting and we had our son. So that's one of the things that, it was an obstacle in the sense that I always thought I wasn't going to be able to have children. I thought, you know what, let's look to other options, see what else we can do. We looked to adopting. And I think that had my faith had a lot of, played a large part in that happening, because I think that all of a sudden I was just so focused on medically what it is that I had to do to make that happen. And what about this and what about that? And then all of a sudden you're just like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I'm just going to just see what else. There are other options. Let's look at the other options. I kind of accepted it and went on. And here we have a 9-year-old. So I think that that's one of the things. But I think professionally, I think that where the obstacles are is that, again, you're put in situations where you're asked to maybe support something or do something that is not necessarily something that you support. It's not something that you feel is maybe going against what you believe. And so you have to rely on your faith to kind of help you and guide you through those decisions. And that happens just about every day that we have some sort of, so I wouldn't say that there's one primary obstacle. I think we go through several obstacles on a regular basis, to look at what's fair to one person is it fair to everybody? So I think you're encountered with those decisions all the time. And you just have to step back, think for a moment, rely on what you think is fair and what's the most benefit to the most people without negatively affecting another group. And if you do, you have to kind of figure out what are the best solutions and what are some options so that way everybody benefits. So I think that every day that I'm relying on my faith because I have to step back and think for a moment and, what's fair, what's right. And a lot of that is based on the values that we believe in. So I hope I answered your question.
Thank you.
Good.
Do you feel like in any ways religion has hindered your success?
I don't think it's hindered my success, not in my career. I would not say that it has. I think it's been very, very helpful for me. I think it's important for me whenever I'm working and interacting in a group or a dynamic that I don't have to wear it on my sleeve, but I think it's important for them to know that that it's important to me. For example, if I go out somewhere and I'm in a meal or I'm in a meeting and we're having a luncheon or whatever, I still make the sign of the cross because I pray when I eat. And so at first I used to think, maybe I shouldn't do this. I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. And so I think when I first started working, I was not sure if it was the right thing to do. But at the same time, I thought, you know what? If people are showing up and they're bringing a certain type of meal because they can, because their faith, their beliefs are that they shouldn't eat certain things, they're kind of demonstrating their faith, and that's okay. So I think I should be able to do the same. So that's kind of what I did, and to this day I still do it, and I think it's important. So.
Okay, thank you. With that, how would you maybe define success?
That's a great question. I was thinking about that and I thought to myself, how am I going to answer that? And, I think that it's a very personal thing. I think your definition of success and Jose's and mine, I think if we were to all talk about it, I think we would all look at it. There might be some similarities, but I think it's very personal to each one of us. But essentially, I think for me, it's living my true purpose, whatever that might be. So I would say that if I'm doing something that is important to me, and if I'm practicing if I'm doing an activity, spending time with my family, doing something professionally that is benefiting other people, at least for me, and that's helping other people to grow, and it's helping our community to grow, or educating people, or whatever it might be, I think that's success for me. So again, I think it's just a personal thing. I also think that, we need to look at helping people to meet their potential. And if I'm doing that in whatever task that I'm doing on that particular day, whether it's in my home, an activity at home, spending time with my family or at work, or in any committee that I work in, and we're meeting those goals, and I'm helping somebody else to meet their potential, I think that for me is success. And the fact that if somebody takes the initiative to try, even if you don't always succeed in the way that if it's a win or lose, and you don't win or lose, I think the fact that you took the initiative to try it, then you're succeeding.
Absolutely.
So,
would you say maybe the role of religion has helped you in achieving your success?
yes, I would definitely say that it has. I rely on my faith a lot because it helps me to, again, make the decision as to what's the best decision to make for the situation. Because maybe the situation today is that I have to make a certain decision, and if I were to have to make the same decision a month from now, there may be something different. There may be other extenuating circumstances that changes the situation. So I rely on my faith a lot. I use it to just kind of take for a moment and think about, what's the right thing. And I think that's, if I keep making a decision based on what I think is the right thing and the fair thing to do, and relying on my faith to help me make that decision, I can't go wrong either way, because I'm not doing it with any sort of malice. I'm not doing it because it's my own personal decision per se. I'm looking at everything that's going to impact that decision. So I always tend to look at things that the more well-informed that I am about a decision, the better decision I'm going to make. So now that I'm serving on the Board of Trustees for Tarrant County College, I've gone out and I've done my homework, and I think that the more time you spend doing your homework, the more confident that you feel and the more courageous that you get, because all of a sudden you're like, okay, I've done my homework, I know all of this information, and so I can make a decision based on that. And I think you do. You tend to make more courageous decisions because you're like, these are all the things. And so my faith has helped me because I take time to reflect. Again, it goes back to what makes sense, what's the fair thing to do, what's the right thing to do, and that's how I make my decisions.
Absolutely. What would you say is your view of maybe God or a divine being with your faith?
As in, can you elaborate a little bit more? What do you think, Jose?
Like, how do you view it? What do you feel like connects you to it, to your divine being or God, whichever you may define yourself with?
Well, I think. Well, I believe in God, and I believe that God believes that motherhood is almost given an exalted type of position in the church, and in an exalted status, I would say, in the church and in life as well, because of the way that Jesus looked at his mother. I think that I feel that there's an attachment there that I can relate because I have a son. Mary had her son, and those are things that as I have my son, I always think about what would Mary do, or what would my mom do, what would whomever any person do when it comes to making a decision and how they lead their lives. But I think that I always believe that it's important for us to have some sort of belief, whatever it might be, because there are people that believe that there's nothing, that things just evolve, and I'm okay with that. I think that it's important for people to realize that we all have some belief that helps us through the day, that guides us in our decision making, that guides us in how we lead our lives, that guides us in how we just live and make day-to-day decisions. And I wake up in the morning and I pray. I go to bed at night and I pray. I'm not reaching for my telephone first thing in the morning. I'm not reaching for my phone before I go to bed. The things that I believe in are God, and I think that He's the center of my life. He's the center of my family's life, and it's something that will always be a part of my life because it's something that I was brought up with. That your family and your faith and your community and all of those things are important to you. But the church has always been, we go to the church for everything. If there's a special occasion, a child is born, we have a baptism. People get married, you go to church. to, because you're going to have that church, that bless, that, you buy a new house, you have the priest come and bless your house. When you die, where do you go? Do you go to church? In times of tragedy, with what's happening over in Paris, and in other parts of the world, we're all praying. We're praying for them. So God is a central part of my life, and He always will be. And I think that I would feel empty without Him.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I guess our big question that we would like to ask you is, personally, what makes you feel what makes you a successful woman? So.
What makes me that's a compliment, I would say. Again, I think it's a personal, it's a personal thing, that personal attribute that we all kind of feel. And I think we live, as long as I live to my true purpose in life. And when I mean my true purpose, I mean as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as a citizen in this community, as an aunt to my nieces, whatever role, as a teacher, as a mentor. I think that as long as I'm living to that true purpose, whatever that is, and I'm helping other people along the way, then and I'm taking the initiative to try, I think that's successful for me. And it's not about money. It never has been. I've never felt that money, that I had to do something where I was going to be successful. It just never has played into what I do. Mm-hmm. It never has. And I think that's because my parents instilled those values in me. It's not, you have to do what you like. I think that's important. But it's always been, you emulate what you see, right? You see your family volunteering. You see your parents working hard. You see your brothers and sisters. And so you just emulate that. And they've never been ones to feel like money is everything. That's never been the central part of our lives. Our central part has been our family and our faith. And I think as long as I maintain that balance of my family and my faith being the most important things to me, then I feel like that helps me to be successful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for allowing us to do this interview.
Sure.
We really appreciate the time that you've given out to us. Mm-hmm. Did you want to pause it? You good?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, thank you again. It's been such a pleasure to really meet you and be able to do so. With that, I think she gets a copy of the video, right? Pignon, he said that. I'm not quite sure. I will email you in regards to that. I feel like our professor said we would give you a copy of it just so you understand.
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. So once you get all of this information, you all will summarize it and present it and do an analysis of it, or what research, or
absolutely. We're going to edit. Well, I'm going to edit it, and then we're also going to do tags and just put it all together and just make it look great and everything. And if you'd like to, we can send you a copy of it. I think it goes. I'm 90% sure he said it goes on this website where it shows all of the videos.
Sure.
So if you'd like to, I can also give you a follow-up of the link.
That's fine. That'd be great.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you. And if there's anything else you have any questions on that you want to clarify, just let me know.
Absolutely.
If you want me to elaborate on something, I'd be happy to do that.
Absolutely.
Because we're all different, and I think this is great that you're taking different perspectives. I think you'll find a common theme, with most of us, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. I think we all are just really willing to serve, wanting to serve, maintain balance. And I think that faith is the most important thing you're going to find for almost all of us. And I think that's the key, I think, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
But thanks for your time.